start with chapter 9, Light Enlightenment. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound, and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Adornment Sutra, Light Enlightenment, Chapter 9. At that time, from the wheels on the bottoms of the world on one's feet were released 1 billion bright lights which illumine the 3,000 great thousand worlds. They also illumine a billion Jambudvipas, a billion Purva Videhas, a billion Aparakodhaniyas, and a billion Uttara Kurus. They illumine the billion great oceans, a billion wheel-ringed mountains, a billion bodhisattvas being born, a billion bodhisattvas leaving home, a billion Daskarmas accomplishing proper enlightenment, a billion Daskarmas turning the Dharma wheel, and a billion Daskarmas entering Nirvana, and also a billion Sumeru kings of mountains, a billion heavens of the 4 kings, a billion heavens of the 33, and a billion Suyama heavens, a billion Tushita heavens, a billion bliss-form transformation heavens, a billion heavens of comfort gained from others' transformations, a billion heavens of the Brahma multitudes, a billion light-sound heavens, a billion heavens of pervasive purity, a billion vast result heavens, and a billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light, just as in this place one could see the Buddha, the world owner one, seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 mounts of dust in 10 Buddhanas circumambulating him. So too in each of the billion Jambudvipas, the billion Daskarmas were also seated in the same way. Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva, who together with the bodhisattvas to the number of 5 mounts of dust in 10 Buddha lands, came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri Bodhisattva, Enlightened Leader Bodhisattva, Wealthy Leader Bodhisattva, Jeweled Leader Bodhisattva, Merit and Virtue Leader Bodhisattva, Vision Leader Bodhisattva, Vigorous Leader Bodhisattva, Dharma Leader Bodhisattva, Wisdom Leader Bodhisattva, and Worthy Leader Bodhisattva. These bodhisattvas all came from their own countries, that is to say, the golden-colored world, the wonderful colored world, the lotus flower-colored world, the champaka flower-colored world, the utpala flower-colored world, the golden-colored world, the jeweled-colored world, the vajra-colored world, the crystal-colored world, and the equally colored world. In the presence of the Buddhas, all these bodhisattvas cultivated Brahma conduct, specifically unmoving wisdom Buddha, unobstructed wisdom Buddha, liberation wisdom Buddha, awesome deportment wisdom Buddha, understanding marks wisdom Buddha, ultimate wisdom Buddha, superior wisdom Buddha, comfortable wisdom Buddha, Brahma wisdom Buddha, and contemplating and investigating wisdom Buddha. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. If someone sees the one of proper enlightenment as liberated and free from all outflows, and as not being attached to all woes, that person still has not certified to the way I. If someone knows the Daskama's body and marks does not exist, and cultivates and attains this understanding, then that person will quickly become a Buddha. If one can look upon this world with a mind that is unmoving, and see Buddhas and living beings as the same, then such a one will accomplish supreme wisdom. If with regard to the Buddha and the Dharma, one's mind is completely level and equal, and the two thoughts do not manifest, then one will realize the position which is hard to conceive of. If there is someone who sees the Buddha and living beings as level and equal and peacefully dwelling, yet without dwelling and without a place of entering, then that person will become one who is difficult to encounter. Forms and feelings are without number. Thinking, process, and consciousness are also like this. If one is able to know this, then one can become a great Muni. If worldly and world-transcending views are left far beyond, and if one is well able to know all dharmas, then such a one will accomplish great brilliance. If someone towards all wisdom produces a mind of transference and sees the mind as not being produced, then such a one will obtain great renown. Living beings are without production and also without extinction. If one is able to obtain this kind of wisdom, then one will accomplish the unsurpassed way. Within one there are the limitless, and within the limitless there is one. If one understands that they mutually arise, then one will accomplish fearlessness. At that time, light passed through this world and everywhere illumined 10 Buddha lands in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds, there were 1 billion Jambudvipas, reaching up to 1 billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light, just as in this place. One could see the Buddha, the world honor one, seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 mounts of dust in 10 Buddha lands, circumambulating him. So too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas, there were billions of Daskamans seated in the same way. Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva, who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 mounts of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden-Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman, and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. Living beings without wisdom are injured and poisoned by the thorn of love. To cause those people to seek Bodhi is what the Buddha Dharma is for. Universally observe all dharmas and renounce the 2 extremes. The way accomplished, one never retreats and turns this unequaled wheel. Throughout inconceivable kalpas, vigorously cultivate all practices in order to cross over all living beings. This is the great immortal strength. The guardian master subdues the multitudes of demons. He is courageous, strong, and invincible. Within the light he proclaims the wonderful meaning. He is this way because of his kindness and compassion, using the mind of wisdom to smash all afflictions and obstacles. In one thought he could see all. This is the spiritual power of the Buddha. He beats the proper Dharma drum to enlighten those in the lands of the 10 directions, so all are caused to go towards Bodhi. The power of self-mastery can achieve this. His state is indestructible and has no boundary, and he can roam throughout billions of lands. Towards existence he has no attachment, and he is comfortable like the Buddha. All Buddhas are like empty space, ultimately and eternally pure. By always remembering to bring forth happiness, all of one's vows are completed. Within each hell one passes through limitless kalpas. In order to cross over living beings, one can endure all the suffering. He has no regard for his body or life, as he constantly protects all Buddha dharmas. His mind has no self, and so he is compliant, and so he is able to obtain the way of the Daskama. At that time light passed through 10 worlds and everywhere illumined 100 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were a billion Jambudvipas, reaching up to a billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 moons of dust in 10 Buddha lands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas there were billions of Daskamans seated in the same way. Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva, who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 moons of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses.
The Buddhas understand that dharmas are like an illusion and have penetrated them without obstruction. Their minds are pure apart from the multitude of attachments, and they are able to subdue all beings.
Perhaps someone sees him first being born, his wonderful form like a golden mountain, dwelling in his final body. He eternally acts as a moon among people. Perhaps someone sees the Buddha walking, replete with limitless merit and virtue. His mindfulness and wisdom are wholesome and skillful, as he steps like heroic lion. Perhaps someone sees his purple-blue eyes, which contemplate the 10 directions. Sometimes they appear as laughing, in order to accord with living beings' desires. Perhaps someone sees him emitting the lion's roar, as he in his supreme and incomparable body manifests his final birth. That which he proclaims is actual. Perhaps someone sees him leaving home, becoming liberated from all bonds, cultivating and regulating all Buddha's practices, and always delighting in contemplating still quiescence. Perhaps someone sees him sitting in the way place, enlightening to and knowing all dharmas, arriving at the other shore of merit and virtue. He exhausts the darkness of stupidity and afflictions. Perhaps someone sees him as a victorious hero, replete with a mind of great compassion, turning the wonderful Dharma wheel, crossing over limitless living beings. Perhaps someone sees him sounding the lion's roar. His awesome brilliance has no peer, excelling all in the world. The power of his spiritual penetrations is unequaled. Perhaps someone sees that his mind is still and silent, like a lamp in the world that is forever extinguished, with all kinds of manifestations of spiritual penetrations. The one who has 10 powers is able to be like this. At that time light passed through 100 worlds and everywhere illumined 1,000 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were a billion Jambudvipas, reaching up to a billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddhas circumambulating him.
So too in each of
Those
those
billions of Jambuvipas, there were billions of Daskamas seated in the same way, because of the spiritual power of the Buddha. In each of the 10 directions there was a great Bodhisattva who was accompanied by Bodhisattvas to the number of 5 months dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Moving Wisdom, Daskaman and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. The Buddha has penetrated the most profound dharmas. No one can equal him. Living beings are not able to understand it, and so in sequence he explains it for them. The nature of the self does not exist, and that which belongs to the self is also empty and still. How then do all Daskamas obtain their bodies? The ones of liberation and clear conduct are uncountable and incomparable, using all kinds of logic and knowledge of the world. One seeks but cannot fathom them. The Buddha is not the worldly skandhas, nor the realms, the places or dharmas of birth and death. He does not fall within the dharmas of reckoning, and so he is called a lion among people.
His nature is basically empty and still. Inside and out he is completely liberated. Apart from all false thoughts, the unequaled Dharma is also like this.
His substance and nature are constantly unmoving. He is without a self and also without coming or going. He is able to enlighten the world, so that all its boundless beings are completely subdued. He is constantly happy contemplating still quiescence, characterized by one mark and non-duality. His mind does not increase or decrease. While he manifests spiritual powers, he does not engage in living beings' karmic retributions, practices and causes and conditions, and yet is able to understand them without obstruction. The Dharma of the One One is just like this. Each and every living being drifts and turns in the 10 directions. The Daskam ones makes no discriminations as he crosses over and rescues the boundless kinds of species. The Buddha's true golden color does not exist and yet pervades all existence. According to that which living beings like, he makes them happy by speaking for them the Dharma of still quiescence. At that time, light passed through 1,000 worlds and everywhere illumined 10,000 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were 1,000,000,000 Jambuvipas, reaching up to 1,000,000,000 ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskaman seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 months of dust in 10 Buddhalands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambuvipas there were billions of Daskamans seated in the same way.
Because of the
Spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 months of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Moving Wisdom, Daskaman and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. Produce a mind of great compassion to save and protect all living beings, and to forever lead the multitudes of people and gods. This is the karma that should be done, with thoughts of constant faith and joy in the Buddha, and a mind that never retreats. One draws near to all Daskamans. This is the karma that should be done. with the will that rejoices in the Buddha's merit and virtue, and a mind that never retreats, one dwells in pure, cool wisdom. This is the karma that should be done. Within all awesome diplomas, one is constantly mindful of the Buddha's merit and virtue, ceaselessly throughout the day and night. This is the karma that should be done. One contemplates the 3 periods of time which are boundless, and studies those Buddha's merit and virtue. With the mind that is never weary, this is the karma that should be done. Contemplate the body as the real monk, where everything is still and quiet, be apart from the attachment to self and no self. This is the karma that should be done. Contemplate equally the minds of living beings, without giving rise to discriminations. Enter into this true and actual state. This is the karma that should be done. Behold the boundless realms and drink up all the seas, with spiritual penetrations and the power of great wisdom. This is the karma that should be done. In the lands of the 10 directions, in each dasmod there is a Buddha, and yet one is fully able to know their number. This is the karma that should be done. At that time, light passed through 10,000 worlds, and everywhere illumined 100,000 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below.
Within each of those worlds there were
1 billion Jambudvipas, reaching up to 1 billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddha lands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas there were billions of Daskamas seated in the same way. Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva, who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman, and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. If one uses awesome virtue, form, or race to look for the taming and regulating master of people, this is like a disease of the eyes which causes one's seeing to be distorted. Such a one cannot know the most supreme Dharma. The Daskaman's form, appearance, marks, and so on cannot be fathomed by anyone in the world. If throughout 10 million Nayutas or Kalpas one tried to comprehend them, still the aspects of forms, marks, and awesome virtue have turnings without bounds. The Daskaman does not take marks as his substance, and is characterized by markless, still quiescence, yet he is fully complete with physical marks and awesome deportment. According to what they like, all in the world get to see him. The Buddha Dhamma is subtle, wonderful, and difficult to measure. No words of speech are able to reach it. It is not combined, nor is it uncombined. In substance and nature it is still and quiet and without any marks. The Buddha's body is not produced and transcends sophistry, and is not the collection of skandhas or dharmas of differentiation. By obtaining the power of self-mastery, one is certain to see him. His activity is fearless and apart from the path of words. His body and mind are level and equal. Inside and out all is liberated. For an eternity of kalpas he dwells in proper mindfulness, forever unattached and unfettered. He is one who has a pure and bright mind, and all he does is without defiling attachments. There is no place that his wisdom eye does not see, and vast and great is his benefit to living beings. His one body becomes limitless, and the limitless return to the one, completely understanding all words. He manifests a shape that pervades everywhere. His body does not come from anywhere, nor does it come about through accumulation, because living beings have discriminations. They see the various bodies of the Buddha. The mind discriminates the world, yet the mind has no existence. The Daskama knows the Dharma, and in this way views the Buddha's body. At that time, light passed through 100,000 worlds, and everywhere illumined 1,000,000 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the four intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were 1,000,000,000 Jambudvipas, reaching up to 1,000,000,000 ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddhalands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas there were billions of Daskamas seated in the same way.
Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions,
there was a great bodhisattva who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddhalands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Color World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman, and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. The Daskaman is the most sovereign, and he transcends the world and relies on nothing. He has perfected all merit and virtue, and crosses over and liberates all realms of existence. He is without defilements and attachments, and is without thought and dependence. His substance and nature cannot be measured, and all those who see him speak in praise. His brilliance is pervasively clear and pure, and he has completely washed away the wearisome dust. Unmoving, he leaves the two extremes. This is the wisdom of the Daskaman. If one sees the Daskaman with body and mind apart from discriminations, then with regard to all dharmas, one forever transcends all doubts and obstructions. Within all worlds and in all places he turns the Dharma wheel, yet it is without a nature and without a turning. Thus the guiding master speaks expediently. To be without doubt or delusion with regard to dharmas, to eternally sever all irrelevant discussion, and to not give rise to discriminating thoughts, is called being mindful of Buddha's Bodhi. To understand and know differentiating dharmas, not to be attached to words or speech, and to be without one or many, is called according with the Buddha's teaching. The many does not have the nature of one. The one is also without the many. To cast both aside completely is to universally enter the Buddha's merit and virtue. When living beings and lands are entirely still and quiescent, and without reliance or discrimination, then they are able to enter into Buddha's Bodhi. Of living beings and lands, neither one nor many can be obtained. To well contemplate and observe in this way is knowing the meaning of the Buddha Dharma. At that time, light passed through 1,000,000 worlds, and everywhere illumined 10,000,000 worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the four intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were 1,000,000,000 Jambudvipas, reaching up to 1,000,000,000 ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddhalands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas there were billions of Daskamas seated in the same way.
Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, In each of the 10 directions, there was a great bodhisattva
who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 moles of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Colored World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. With unequaled wisdom and boundless Dharma, he transcends the sea of all existence and arrives at the other shore, and his lifespan and brilliance are beyond compare. This is the power of experience of the one with merit and virtue. With a clear understanding of all the Buddha Dharma, he constantly contemplates the 3 periods of time without weariness. Although he accords with stakes, he does not discriminate. This is the power of experience of the one who is difficult to conceive of, delighting in contemplation of living beings without the thought of beings, universally viewing all destinies without the thought of destinies. He constantly dwells in the stillness of dhyana, his mind unfettered. This is the power of experience of unobstructed wisdom. He penetrates all dharmas by means of good and clever means, diligently cultivates the way of nirvana with proper mindfulness, and by being separate from inequality, delights in liberation. This is the power of experience of still quiescence. He has got the ability to exhort others to go towards the Buddha's Bodhi. He tends toward and enters all wisdom, which is like the Dharma realm, and uses goodness to transform beings so that they enter into the truth. This is the power of experience of the mind that dwells in Buddhahood. He accords with and enters all the Dharma that the Buddha speaks. His vast great wisdom is without obstruction, and he has already completely understood places of practice. This is the power of experience of the cultivation of self-mastery. He constantly dwells in nirvana, which is like empty space, appearing by transformation according to minds. There is nowhere that he does not encompass. He relies on the unmarked and yet takes on conditioned marks. This is the power of experience of the one who has arrived at what is difficult to arrive at. He recollects and completely understands and knows morning and night, days and months, years and kalpas, as well as worlds characterized by beginnings and ends, creation and destruction. This is the power of experience of the mastery over time and numbers. Living beings undergo production and extinction. Their form or formlessness, their thought or lack of thought. All names such as these he completely understands. This is the power of experience or dwelling in that which is inconceivable. He can understand all that has been spoken throughout past, present, and future times, and he knows that the 3 periods of time are completely equal. This is the power of experience of incomparable liberation. At that time, light passed through 10 million worlds and everywhere illumined 100 million worlds in the east. It was also like this in the south, west, north, the 4 intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were 1 billion Jambuvipas, reaching up to 1 billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskaman seated on his lotus-flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 moles of dust in 10 Buddhalas circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambuvipas there were billions of Daskaman seated in the same way. Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha, in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva, who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 moles of dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called golden-colored world and others, and the Buddhas they served were called unmoving wisdom, thus come one and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. He cultivated all the profuse and great Buddha practices vigorously throughout the day and night without weariness or fatigue. He has already rescued those who are difficult to rescue by means of his lion's robe, because universally transforming living beings is his practice. Living beings float and turn in the sea of love and desire, covered over by the net of ignorance and greatly worried and oppressed. The one of utmost humaneness and courage completely pulls them out. Vowing that it will be this way is his practice. We in the world are remiss and attached to the five desires. We make unreal discriminations and thereby receive a score of suffering. We should uphold and practice the Buddha's teachings and always gather in our minds, vowing to save all such as these is his practice.
Living beings become attached to a self
and enter birth and death. They seek its boundaries and cannot obtain it. We should wholeheartedly serve the Daskaman and obtain the wonderful Dharma. Expounding it to others is his practice. Living beings have no recourse and are bound up with sickness. They sink into the evil destinies by giving rise to the three poisons and are continually scorched by great raging flames. Using a pure mind to save them is his practice. Living beings are confused and deluded and lose the proper path. By constantly walking on deviant paths, they enter dark places. For their sakes the lamp of proper Dharma is lit. Eternally being a brilliant illumination is his practice. Living beings bob and sink in the ocean of existence. Their distress and difficulties are limitless and without end. For their sakes he builds the mighty Dharma boat, taking them all across is his practice. Living beings are without knowledge and cannot see their origin. They are bewildered, confounded, stupid, and crazed by the danger and hardships they are in. The Buddha pities them, and so he constructs a Dharma bridge, causing them to mount it through proper thought is his practice. He sees all living beings on a perilous path, constantly oppressed by birth, old age, sickness, and death. He cultivates limitless, measureless experience and vows to completely save them all, for this is his practice. After hearing the Dharma, they believe and understand it without doubt or delusion, and without fear they understand that the nature is empty and still. He accordingly appears in the six paths throughout the 10 directions, universally instructing the perplexed masses, for this is his practice.
At that time, light
I
passed
through 100 million worlds, and everywhere illumined the billion worlds in the east. It illumined 10 billion worlds, hundreds of thousands of millions of worlds, nayutas of millions of worlds, hundreds of nayutas of billions of millions of worlds, thousands of nayutas of millions of worlds, hundreds, thousands of nayutas of millions of worlds. Also there were numberless, limitless, boundless, unequaled, uncountable, incalculable, unthinkable, immeasurable, ineffable worlds to the ends of the Dharma realm and empty space. It was also like this in the southwest, north, the four intermediate directions, as well as above and below. Within each of those worlds there were a billion Jambudvipas, reaching up to a billion ultimate form heavens. All of these were clearly revealed in this light. Just as in this place one could see the Daskama seated on his lotus flower treasury lion's throne, with bodhisattvas as many as 5 motes of dust in 10 Buddha lands circumambulating him, so too in each of those billions of Jambudvipas there were billions of Daskamons seated in the same way.
Because of the spiritual power of the Buddha,
in each of the 10 directions there was a great bodhisattva who was accompanied by bodhisattvas to the number of 5 most dust in 10 Buddha lands, who came to the Buddha's place. Their names were Manjushri and others. They came from countries called Golden Color World and others, and the Buddhas they served were called Unmoving Wisdom, Daskaman and others. At that time, in the presence of all those Buddhas, the voices of the Manjushri Bodhisattvas in all those places rang out in unison as they spoke verses. In one thought he contemplates the limitless kalpas. He does so without going, without coming, and without dwelling anywhere. In this way he is able to understand and know what goes on in the 3 periods of time, and he transcends all experience and accomplishes the 10 powers. In the 10 directions he is incomparable and of wholesome renown. He has forever left all difficulties and is always happy. He goes everywhere and visits all lands to broadly proclaim the Dharma, which is thus. For the sake of benefiting living beings, he makes offerings to the Buddhas, and he obtains a fruit which corresponds to his intent. He completely accords with and knows all dharmas, and pervasively throughout the 10 directions he manifests spiritual powers. From the first time he made offerings to the Buddhas, his mind has been pliant and patient. He enters deeply into Chan Samadhi and contemplates the Dharma nature. He universally encouraged living beings to bring forth the mind for the way. By such means as these he quickly accomplishes the unsurpassed fruit. Anyone in the 10 directions who seeks the Dharma with unchanging zeal and cultivates merit and virtue to the fullest extent
can completely eliminate the 2 marks of existence and non-existence.
Such a person is one who truly sees the Buddha. Anyone who goes to all lands everywhere in the 10 directions, broadly speaking, the wonderful Dharma to cause its meaning and benefit to flourish, who dwells in the reality's limit, without being moved or shaken, is a person whose merit and virtue is equal to the Buddha's. The Daskaman turns the sublime Dharma wheel. Each turning is a share of Bodhi. Anyone who hears it and can enlighten to the Dharma nature is a person who will constantly see the Buddhas. If one does not see the 10 powers as empty like an illusion, then although seeing them one does not see but gazes like a blind person. The Buddha cannot be seen by one who discriminates and grasps at marks. Only when one finally relinquishes attachments will one be able to truly see. Living beings follow their karma with its multitudes of differences. In and beyond the 10 directions it is difficult to see them all. The Buddha's body is unobstructed and pervades the 10 directions. It also cannot be entirely seen. For example, in empty space there are limitless lands which pervade the 10 directions and do not come or go. Their production, dwelling, and destruction and extinction are all without a place of reliance. The Buddha pervades all emptiness in much the same way. Namo Sambuddha Motana Apolati Hatasa Janani Jini Jini Tata Katana Mawa Shanti Polati Uttamotam Tanta Katana Mawa Hong Tanso Namo Sambuddha Motana Apolati Hatasa Janani Jini Jini Tata Katana Mawa Shanti Polati Uttamotam Tanta Katana Mawa Hong Namo Sambuddha Motana Palati Atocha Janami Jini Jini Tanta Katana Mawa Shanti Palati Uttamo Tamo Tanta Katana Mawa Hong Soha. Praise for the second assembly. In the universal bright light palace, the great Dharma is widely proclaimed. The Tathagata's names are vast and boundless. The meanings of the 4 truths are subtle and profound. The Dharma torch eternally shines, a universal offering before the Dharma King. Dedication of merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness. can find in giving unity. May their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. 3 bars. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Nam mô Đa Phật Quang Phổ Hoa Yên Jin, Hoa Yên Hải Huệ Phổ菩萨.
with chapter 10. So please have the book prepared. 可以开始了吗？那个课的。Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound, wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see it, hear it, receive it, uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Preface to the great means expansive Buddha Flower Dogma Sutra. Going and returning with no boundaries, moment and stillness have one source, embracing multitudes of wonders, more remains. Surprising words and thought by far, this can only be the Dharma realm. Opening and disclosing the mysterious and subtle, understanding and expanding the mind and states, exhausting the principle and fathoming the nature, penetrating the result which includes the cause, deep, wide, and interviews, vast, great, and totally complete. Surely this must be the great means expansive Buddha Flower Dogma Sutra. Therefore, our world honor one, the 10 bodies just fulfilled, proper enlightenment first perfected, rise, vows, and conduct all pervasive, unites with empty space in substance and nature, is wealthy with 10,000 virtues, and cleansed without a speck of dust. For the pellucid waves of his deep sea-like wisdom are empty, yet hold myriad reflections. The full moon of his glistening space-like nature at once gathers in 100 streams. Without rising from beneath the king of trees, he stands to 7 places in the Dharma realm, unhindered by the bounds of afterwards. He pervades the night assemblies as he first succeeds, exhausting vast expanses of esoteric doctrine. He aids the heart to conceive of ocean-wide assembly. The perfect sound continually scatters through kshetras, yet suddenly is everywhere. Hosts and attendants keep repeating to the limits of the 10 directions, yet in unison proclaim. Although emptiness is emptied, and yet the traces are cut off, still the sky of meaning stars glitter and blaze. Although stillness is deepened, so that words are lost, even so the sea of teachings waves are oceanic in its stead. As for the 1,000 doors which in secret flow, of multitudes of texts it forms the copious source. The 10,000 virtues commingle and return, while companies of sutras comprise its retinue. This is the intent, tallying true substance with the region of 10,000 transformations. displaying virtuous smiles in the doorway to the multiply profound. Its functions are legion and prolific, yet it is always such. Wisdom everywhere examines, yet is forever still. Truth and falseness interlink and mingle.
Within the ordinary mind,
one sees the Buddha mind. Specifics and principle are cultivated together. One relies on basic wisdom to see the Buddha's wisdom. Principle changes according to specifics, so one and many conditionally arise without bounds. Specifics interferes with principle, so 1,000 distinctions combine without obstruction. Therefore he obtains 10 bodies in succession, yet mutually operative. 6 positions not disordered, yet reciprocally content. And so the vast and great can enter where there is no praise. Thus small and hairs can envelope all with nothing left outside. They are clearly arrayed, like masterpieces within a jar. They are completely simultaneous, like drops of water in the sea.
one and
Many are unobstructed, like 1,000 lamps in empty space. The hidden and revealed are together realized, like the crescent moon in an autumn sky. Layer upon layer lights interlaced, like injust net of trailing pearls. Thought after thought sustained perfect fusion, like evening dreams passing time. Dharma doors pile up in layers, like clouds billowing in space. Myriad practices unfurl profusely, like flowers blooming on brocade. Too high is this for gazing, so even bodhisattvas of accumulated practice resemble dried gills and scales before the dragon's gate. Too deep is it for fathoming, so some heroes of superior virtue are prevented from seeing and hearing in the fine assembly. Seeing and hearing act as seeds. From the 8 difficulties one lives to the echelons of the 10 grounds, understanding and practicing in one's person.
in a single lifetime, one
perfects
perfects
the 40 distant eons. The lion springs, the ocean-wide assembly suddenly certifies in the grove. The elephant king turns round, 6,000 realize the way as the words fall. With the dawn of understanding at the Chaitya in the east, for wisdom does not differ from first thought. During sojourning in positions and seeking in the south, perfected causes do not exceed a hairball. By revealing fine decimal sutra scrolls, in every thought one achieves the fruition. By exhausting all sentient beings' gates of vows, in every decimal one's practice is fulfilled. This sutra may truly be called wonderful speech of constant duration, a vast model of universal scope, the ultimate expression congruent with the nature, and the main track of the single vehicle. Upon examining its profound purport, and then looking into other sutras, one finds this sutra is like a sunrise, glorious in the sky, dimming multitudes of luminary splendor. It is like Subaru which spreads across the seas, lowering retinues of peaks high altitudes. Hence the Bodhisattva saw the secret in the dragon's palace. Great worthies had it published in the eastern expanse. Considering that in the proper Dharma age, its pure glory still remained concealed, how fortunate that in the semblance of final times, these profound teachings happened upon. Moreover, since at the order of wise rulers, it was retrieved from vulture P, as one exhaustively reflects upon its esoteric doctrine, how could one not jump for joy? The title is The Great Inexpensive Buddha Flower Adornment Sutra. That is the general name of this inexhaustible sutra. The Wonderful Adornments of World Rulers, chapter number 1, is a specific heading for one of its many sections. Great is extensive union with no boundaries, means our proper dharmas personally maintained. Expansive sense it fits the substance exactly. Buddha is awakened to this mysterious wonder. Flowers stands for virtues from the myriad khandhas. Adornment refers to decorative dharmas on the unaccomplished person. Sutra is the flow without end of a bubbling spring, streaming deep crystallization of wonderful meanings, and attracting the boundless sea-wide assembly. It acts for lay and ancient as a constant role. The Buddha and all kings are called the world rulers. The Dharma doors of dependent and proper are both classed as wonderful adornments. In dividing meaning units and assigning chapter names, what keeps the other sections is called number 1. This sutra has 39 chapters, of which this chapter is the first. Thus the full title is The Great Inexpensive Buddha Flower Adornment Sutra, The Wonderful Adornments of World Rulers, chapter number 1. Gata of respectful reliance. I return my life to the 10 directions and the 3 pillars utmost reach, to last night as most taming masters of perfect clarity, to the Dharma realm's great compassion crowd of merit and virtue, to Vairochana the great wisdom seed, to the dwelling place most deep the true Dharma nature, to what flows forth whole and perfect as the Sutra, in each assembly of the Buddhas, in each Dasmo, to universal worthy Manjushri and all great laws. I now wish with my one hair's breadth of wisdom to fathom the Dharma realm's vast far. May I receive the triple truths, compassion of identity in substance, in each phrase profoundly meshing with all Buddha's intent. May I cause the Dharma eye to never ever fail, exhausting realms of living beings like universal worthy. I transfer this supreme good equally to all that live. May they soon accomplish both this fruit of never-ending bliss. Flower Adornment Sutra. The Bodhisattva asks for clarification. Chapter 10. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked enlightenment leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, given that the nature and the mind are one, why then are there various distinctions perceived, such as rebirth in wholesome paths and rebirth in evil paths, perfect faculties and deficient faculties, different modes of birth, handsomeness and ugliness, and differing experiences of suffering and happiness? Why is karma unaware of the mind, and the mind unaware of karma? Why is the experience of karma unaware of retribution, and the retribution unaware of the experience? Why is the mind unaware of the experience of karma, and the experience unaware of the mind? Why are causes unaware of conditions, and conditions unaware of causes? Why is wisdom unaware of states of being, and why are states of being unaware of wisdom? Then enlightenment leader Bodhisattva answered in verse. The human one asks about these principles in order to awaken the dumb multitudes I will not answer according to their nature. Would that the human one attentively listen. All dharmas have no function,
nor do they have any substance.
thus every one of them knows not all the others. As with the water in a river, which forms torrents and rapids, they are mutually unaware, so too is it with all dharmas. Or as when a tremendous blaze flares into raging flames all at once, each flame is unaware of the others, so too is it with all dharmas. And as with continuous gusts of wind that buffet every object they encounter, while each gust are aware of all the others, so too is it with all dharmas. It is also like the planets of a solar system, sustained by their mutual gravitational forces, yet each unaware of the others, so too is it with all dharmas. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, and the thinking mind, the sensory organs all, constantly turn and flow in samsara, yet there is no one making them turn. The Dharma nature, basically unproduced, still manifests coming into being, yet there is nothing making it manifest, nor anything that is manifested. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, and the thinking mind, the sensory organs all, are empty and without a nature, but the false mind discerns them as existent. Thus, in accord with principle, observe that absolutely everything is without a nature. The Dhamma eye is inconceivable, is seen without distortion, whether we name it real or unreal, false or not false, mundane or world transcending, these are merely false words. At that time, Manchu Sri Bodhisattva asked wealthy leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, all sentient beings are non-entities, and so why does the Dasta one accord with their opportunities? Why does he accord with their lives? Why does he accord with their bodies? Why does he accord with their practices? Why does he accord with their understandings? Why does he accord with their languages? Why does he accord with their fondnesses? Why does he accord with their expediencies? Why does he accord with their thoughts? And why does he accord with their observations, appearing among them in bodies like theirs, in order to teach and transform, tame and subdue them? The wealthy leader Bodhisattva answered in verse, the bliss of still quiescence, the state of one of much learning, I for the human one will not respond. Would that the human one be attentively receptive, observe the body in detail throughout.
What of it is
Actually mean, one who understands in this way, comprehends there's no self to be found. This body is falsely established, without a place to which it belongs. By closely examining the body, one fathoms that nothing about it can be held on to. Skillfully observe the body, clearly view each part, realize all dharmas empty illusions, and you will not give rise to mental distinctions. Who causes this life to arise, and what causes its decline and demise? Like a whirling wheel of fire, its beginning and end cannot be known. Wise ones are able to observe the impermanence of all that exists, and how all dharmas are empty, devoid of a self, forever detached from all characteristics. Karma produced, a myriad retribution follow. Like a dream, none of it is true or real. Thought after thought, constant decay brings cessation. As with the previous and subsequent pattern, the dharmas proceed in this world, solely rely on the mind, their host, which following its notions, grasp at attributes. This is inversion and not true suchness. Worldly theories and languages are all based on discriminations, Though a single phenomena among them gains entry to the Dhamma nature, the force of conditions and that which pursues them brings myriad phenomena into being. Ephemeral, they soon vanish without pausing for an instant. This continues in thought after thought. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked surely the Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, all sentient beings alike are composed of the four elements. They are devoid of a self or anything pertaining to a self. Why then do some undergo suffering and some enjoy bliss? Why are some respectable and others unseemly? Why are some good within and others good without? Why do some receive little while others receive much? Sometimes receiving a direct retribution, sometimes receiving a delayed retribution. While within the Dhamma realm, there actually is no beauty or ugliness. Then surely the Bodhisattva answered in verse, according to what is done, appropriate consequences are born. The door is without any being. That is what all Buddhas say. As a clear bright mirror, according with what confronts it, reflects each exact image. Such is the nature of karma. All as seeds sown in a field are mutually unaware, yet able to simultaneously sprout. Such is the nature of karma. Or as a skilled illusionist who stands at the crossroads, displaying a multitude of disguises. Such is the nature of karma. As a mechanical man, which can emit many different sounds, yet possesses neither a self nor a non-self. Such is the nature of karma. And as the myriad kinds of birds, although all hatch from eggs, are each endowed with a distinct sound. Such is the nature of karma. Just as in the womb, all faculties are formed, yet these physical features have no source. Thus too is the nature of karma, and it follows that throughout the house, all the various experiences suffered there are without a place of origin, and the nature of karma is also that way. Although a wheel-turning king possesses the 7 splendid jewels, no source of their origin can be found. Just so is the nature of karma. And were all the worlds consumed by a massive conflagration, their fire will have no source. Thus again is the nature of karma. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked virtuous leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, order does come once enlightened to only one Dhamma. Why then do they explain innumerable Dhammas? Why do they appear in innumerable Buddha lands? Why do they transform innumerable sentient beings? Why do they expound with innumerable different sounds? Why do they manifest innumerable bodies? Why do they know the innumerable minds? Why do they demonstrate innumerable spiritual penetrations? How can they universally cause innumerable worlds to quake? How can they display innumerable exquisite adornments? And how can they manifest an infinite variety of states of being, when none of these distinctions exists within the Dhamma nature? Then virtuous leader Bodhisattva answered in verse, disciple of the Buddha, what you ask about is profound and difficult to fathom. Wise ones are able to know and find constant joy in the Buddha's virtues. As the earth is of a single nature, there allow sentient beings upon it their individuality, without thoughts of difference on the part of the earth. Thus too is all Buddha's Dhamma, as fire is of a single nature, that enables it to consume things, without discrimination on the part of the flames. Thus too is all Buddha's Dhamma, as the sea is of one nature, that forms myriad different waves, without any variations in the water. Thus too is all Buddha's Dhamma. And as the wind is of one nature, that enables it to grow upon anything without making any differentiations. That's choice of Buddha's Dharma. And as huge thunder clouds universally ran over the earth, without discrimination on the part of the raindrops, thus choice of Buddha's Dharma, or as the single local of earth, is able to sprout all kinds of plants, without the earth making any differentiations, thus choice of Buddha's Dharma, also as the sun, when not obscured by clouds, universally shines throughout the 10 directions, without any differentiation in the nature of its light, thus choice of Buddha's Dharma. And as the moon in space can be seen everywhere in the world, though the moon itself does not go to those places, thus choice of Buddha's Dharma. And as the great Brahma law appears in response throughout the kilocosm, without any discrimination on the part of his body, thus choice of Buddha's Dharma. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked Vision leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, given that the field blessings of the Dhamma one is impartial and without disparity, how then is it that sentient beings can be seen with different rewards for having given? That is to say, their compressions, physical builds, homes, faculties, wealth, domains of rulership, retinues, offices, meritorious virtues, and wisdom all differ. Given that, how can the Buddha's attitude toward them be impartial and non-differentiating? Then Vision leader Bodhisattva answered in verse, just as the great earth in oneness, corresponding to each seed nurtures the sprout, without thoughts of like or dislike, thus too is the Buddha's field of blessings. Just as water is of a single flavor, yet differs as to the vessel which contains it, thus too is the Buddha's field of blessings. Differences are only due to beings' minds, or as a master magician is able to delight an audience, thus too does the Buddha's field of blessings inspire reverence and joy in sentient beings. As a talented and wise king can make the populace happy, so too can the Buddha's field of blessings make the multitudes peaceful and happy. As a clean, bright mirror refracts exactly images of what appears before it, so too does the Buddha's field of blessings, according to beings' minds, effect mirroring works, just as the herb Avada can cure one of every poison, so too the Buddha's field of blessings does relieve the distresses of every affliction, just as the sun at dawn spreads illumination throughout the world, so too the Buddha's fields of blessings does dispel all darkness, just as the clear full moon universally sheds light over the vast earth, thus too the Buddha's field of blessings does extend to all places equally, just as a Virambra tempest can cause the entire earth to shudder, so too the Buddha's field of blessings move the three realm sentient beings, just as a conflagration can burn up every kind of thing, so too the Buddha's field of blessings can burn up all that which is conditioned. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked the diligent leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, given that the Buddha's teaching is one teaching, why is it that when beings see and hear it, they do not all sever the bonds of afflictions and free themselves? Why is it that although there is no distinction in their form skandhas, within skandha, cognition skandhas, formation skandhas, and consciousness skandhas, throughout the desire form and formless realms, knowing their ignorance, greed, and passion, yet some derive benefit from the Buddha's teaching, while others do not. Then diligently the Bodhisattva answered in verse, Disciple of the Buddha, listen well, and I will now answer truthfully. Why did some soon gain liberation while others have trouble getting free? In seeking to expel and eliminate limitless past evil deeds, one must in the Buddha Dharma be courageous and constantly vigorous. Suppose to have only a tiny flame, where sticks would cause it to quickly die out. Within the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, so too is it for one who is lax. Or suppose to make fire one rub wood together, but stop to rest before it was produced. The potential for fire with the stopping would die, so too is it for one who is lax. Or if one held a crystal under the sun, but failed to use tinder to catch the refraction, consequently no fire could be obtained, so too is it for one who is lax. Or suppose out in the bright sunshine, a young child shut his eyes, and then asked absurdly, "Why can't I see?" So too is it for one who is lax.
Or suppose one
Without hands or feet,
wish to use a blade of grass
to pierce the break the great earth asunder, so too is it for one who is lax. Or suppose one use the tip of a hair to get out water from the ocean, wishing to render it completely dry, so too is it for one who is lax. Or suppose the cloud pick fire ignited, and one hoped to put it out with a little water. Within the Dharma taught by the Buddhas, so too is it for one who is lax.
or as when
Someone gazing into space and physically does not move, yet says that he can soar through the air, so too is it for one who is lax. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva, Samadhi Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, as the Buddha has said, any sentient being who receives and upholds the proper Dharma can be rid of all affliction. Why then is it that some receive and uphold the proper Dharma, but still fail to sever themselves from them? Instead, they succumb to greed, hatred, delusion, arrogance, covering, indignation, animosity, jealousy, stinginess, deceit, and obsequiousness. Compelled by the intensity of such afflictions, they have no thought to separate from them. How is it that one can receive and uphold the Dharma, and still within the activity of one's mind, give rise to all those afflictions? Then Dhamma leader Bodhisattva answer in verse, disciple of the Buddha, listen well to the true meaning of that which you ask, but not
merely by means of much learning.
may one enter the Daskama's Dharma as a person floating on water, who for fear of drowning dies of thirst. So is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As one who prepares a lavish feast, is hungry himself and yet does not eat, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As one who is skilled at dispensing medicine, but is unable to cure his own illness, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As one who counts others' riches, but himself owns not half a cent, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning.
As someone born in a
King's palace nonetheless suffers from hunger and cold, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As a dead musician delights others with what he cannot hear, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning.
As someone blind
Who paints pictures cannot see what he depicts for others, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As a master pilot of a ship still ends up dying in the sea, so is one who does not practice the Dharma, but only amasses much learning. As someone who stands at the crossroads vastly programs a host of good deeds, but possesses no true virtue himself, so is one who does not practice. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked wisdom leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, given that within the Buddha Dharma wisdom is foremost,
why then does the thus come one, for the sake of sentient beings,
sometimes praise giving, sometimes praise upholding precepts, sometimes praising patience, sometimes praise vigor, sometimes praise dhyana samadhi, and sometimes praise wisdom? Why did he sometimes praise kindness, compassion, joy, and giving? And why is there never anyone who, by means of only one single Dharma, gains transcendence and realizes Anuttara Samya Sambodhi? Then wisdom leader Bodhisattva answered in verse, disciple of the Buddha, how rare you are! You know what is all sentient beings' minds. As to the principle of which the human one asks, listen well as I now explain. In ages past and times to come, as well as in the present, no guiding master speaks only a single Dharma to help beings attain the spiritual path. The Buddha knows sentient beings' minds are uniquely different in nature. Based on what they need to be saved, he speaks Dharma for them accordingly. To those who are stingy, he praises giving. To those who transgress rules, he praises morality.
to those with
Much anger, he praises tolerance. To those who like to be lazy, he praises vigor. To the scattered, he praises dhyana concentration. To the foolish, he praises wisdom. To the inhuman, he praises sympathetic kindness. To the angry and malicious, he praises great compassion. To the sorrowful, he praises sympathetic joy. To the crooked-minded, he praises renunciation. One should cultivate successively in this way, gradually perfecting all the Buddha's dharmas. As one first must set the foundation in order to build a palace, so too giving and precepts are basic for all Bodhisattva practices. As a city wall is built in order to protect the populace, so too do patience and vigor guard and practice all Bodhisattvas. As a great and powerful king is honored by the entire country, so too samadhi and wisdom are what all Bodhisattvas rely on. Just as a wheel-turning king can bestow happiness upon his subjects, so too the four unlimited aspects of mind can bring joy to all Bodhisattvas. At that time, Manjushri Bodhisattva asked worthy leader Bodhisattva, disciple of the Buddha, all Buddhas were honored ones, were liberated by means of a single path. Why then
we perceive that the Buddha's lens and their multitudes of deeds are all different, with none of the same? That is to say,
there was the sentient beings in them, the Dharma that they speak to tame and regulate beings, their lifespans, the light they emit, their spiritual powers,
their assemblies, the ways in which they teach, and the durations of their Dharma are all different.
And yet not one has failed to perfect all of the Buddha Dharma and to realize Anuttara Samya Sambodhi. Then worthy leader Bodhisattva answered in verse, Manjushri, the Dharma is always like this. The Dharma kings transcended with only one Dharma. Everyone who unburdens himself can escape birth and death on this one path. Each and every Buddha's body is a one Dharma body. They are of one mind and one wisdom. Their powers of fearlessness are also thus, based upon their original wish to see Bodhi and all their dedications of merit. They attain a corresponding kind of Buddha land with its assemblies and Dharma proclamations. The lands of all Buddhas are adorned to perfection, according to beings' different practices. Their perceptions are likewise different. The Buddhas land together with the Buddha's body. Their assemblies, including what they speak, as well as all Buddha's dharmas, cannot be seen by sentient beings. But once their minds are made pure and all their vows perfected, they reach complete understanding and are thereby able to see, according with what makes them happy, as well as their coming retributions. Sentient beings perceive things due to the Buddha's awesome spiritual power. The Buddha lands are devoid of distinctions, of dislikes or fondness. It is only due to the sentient being's mind that differences are perceived within the mundane world, for each one perceived is different. All the dust come one, the great immortals are not to blame for this. Within each and every world, those who are ready to be transformed constantly see the hero among men. That is the Dharma of all Buddhas. At that time, all those Bodhisattvas said to Manjushri Bodhisattva,
Disciple of the Buddha, we have each finished speaking about what we understand. We only hope that the Humane One, using wonderful eloquence, will extensively elucidate all the states of the thus come one. What is the state of being a Buddha like? What are the causes of the states of a Buddha like? What are the states of a Buddha's rescuing like? What is the entry into the state of a Buddha like? What is the wisdom of the state of a Buddha like? What are the dharmas within the state of a Buddha like?
What are the words used in the state of a Buddha like? What is the knowledge encompassing the state of a Buddha like? What is the realization enjoying the state of the Buddha like? What are the manifestations found in the state of a Buddha like? What is the vastness of the state of a Buddha like? Then Manjushri Bodhisattva answering verse, the thus come one's profound state is equal in measure to empty space. All sentient beings enter within it, yet actually nothing is entered. The thus come one's profound state results from surprisingly wonderful causes. Describing them ceaselessly for 1,000,000 eons will still not elucidate them all. Attuned to sentient beings' wisdom, the Buddhas induce them to advance, to gain good benefit, in a way that rescues sentient beings. Such is the state of all the Buddhas. Into every land in all the worlds, the Buddhas enter in accord with beings there, yet those beings are unable to perceive the Buddha's formless wisdom body. The Buddha's wisdom is free and at ease, unimpeded in the triple realm. This state of their wisdom is equal and impartial, just like space. The Dharma realm and the realms of sentient beings are ultimately undifferentiated, and yet are fully understood. Thus is the thus come one state. All the different styles throughout the various worlds, the Buddhas in their wisdom constantly discern, without making any distinctions. Imperceptible to our subjective consciousness, this state cannot be cognized by the mind. It is from the clarity of the pure inherent nature that instruction to benefit beings well formed. Without karma, without affliction, without nothing whatsoever, no place to dwell, without reflection or any activity, they travel impartially through all worlds. The minds of all sentient beings exist throughout the 3 periods of time, that thus come once in a single thought, comprehend them one and all. At that time in this Saha world, all sentient beings, distinct Dharma, distinct karma, distinct world, distinct bodies, distinct disposition, distinct birth, distinct result from maintaining precepts, distinct results from violating precepts, and distinct results of lands were clearly manifested by the Buddha's spiritual power. Just as to the east, in hundreds of thousands of millions of nayotas of numberless, measureless, boundless, incomparable, innumerable, inestimable, inconceivable, immeasurable, ineffable worlds, pervading space throughout the Dharma realm.
All sentient beings,
distinct dharmas, up to and including their distinct results of lands, were clearly manifested by the Buddha's spiritual power. So too was the case in the southwest, north, the 4 intermediate directions, above and below. Namo Sammato Moto Na Bola Diha Doja Jana Ajimi Jimi Dada Gada Namo Washanting Bola Di Uda Moda Moda Tagada Namo Wahong Panswa Namo Sammato Moto Na Bola Diha Doja Jana Ajimi Jimi Dada Gada Namo Washanting Bola Di Uda Moda Moda Bhagavatas names are vast and boundless. The meanings of the four truths are subtle and profound. The Dharma torch eternally shines, a universal offering before the Dharma King. Dedication of merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We have a special dedication here. 愿以此功德回向妙觉山之妙觉佛教学院，申请佛殿增高到65尺，能在7月1日的政府公听会顺利通过，无障碍。We dedicate the merit so that the request to increase the height of the wonderful Enlightenment Buddhist Institute may be approved at the public hearing on July 1st. Now, 3 bows to the Buddha and 3 bows to the Venerable Master.